Hi, it's Hannah Rankin here, the WBA and IBO World Champion, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
All right, everyone. Hope you're all doing fantastic. So, firstly, it's great that Deontay Wilder is back in training. I've seen brief footage of him and Francis Ngannou, where they met up, where Wilder was training, and of course a picture with Michael Hunter. Now, when I posted that picture of Michael Hunter in my community section, some of you thought that maybe I photoshopped that image. I didn't Photoshop any images. Okay? I don't actually have Photoshop anyway, but I didn't Photoshop it. I took it directly from Michael Hunter's Twitter feed. Okay, if you want to see a Photoshop version, there you go, on the right hand side, you can see it. Now, one thing I've noticed, and I know many of you picked up on it as well, outside of those skinny legs, where I said before that my junk is bigger than his legs. Hey, listen, what can you do? He looks like he's lost a lot of muscle mass. He has lost it. When you compare it to when he fought Tyson Fury the last time, he was quite heavy set, wasn't he? Was he 230 pounds or in that kind of region, where usually he'd come into a fight 215, 218, 220-ish, something like that. But he did come in a bit heavier for the Tyson Fury third fight, as he did for the second fight. And I think one of the reasons why he'd done that was because he bought into, let's be honest, some of his fans are absolute morons, where they seem to think Wilder is this big, strong, powerful guy. He's not a big, strong, powerful guy. I mean, he's tall, he's 6'7", but he's not a big, strong, powerful guy. Okay, he's not. His knockout power against journeymen and gatekeepers, of course, he's never knocked out anybody elite, comes from speed. It's a David Hay effect, okay? I've said this many, many times. Speed kills. That's what it is, okay? It's not because he's big and strong, powerful. And I think that he's been listening to some of these retarded fans of his saying how he's this big, strong guy. So he decided to bulk up a little bit more because he wanted to take Fury out in devastating fashion. He forgot it's the speed that does damage, not his power. He's not a big puncher. He's not a big, strong guy. It's the speed that he does it. So, of course, when you add in muscle mass, you're going to be slowing down a little bit, okay? But is this a sign that now he's finally realised that it was the speed that kills? Or is it a case of maybe he's been going through some hard times, hard depression, getting over 2 knockout defeats on the bounce? You know, he feels maybe humiliated about what happened. But ultimately, when you really look at him now, I bet he's walking around about the Bridgerweight limit. I bet he's walking around 215, 220, maybe. Very, very skinny. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he has a comeback fight and he's within that kind of region. 210, 215, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he walks into the ring at that kind of weight. Would he be going for the Bridgerweight? I mean, I don't see anybody in the Bridgerweight division that he can't beat, if I'm being fair. His toughest tests would be a Oscar Rivas or a Adam Babbage. Maybe that rematch from the amateurs with Evangelos Romanov, where Romanov knocked him out. But I don't see anything really in the Bridgerweight division for Wilder to worry about. He could become a 2-weight world champion very, very quickly. He could. But if he's going to continue at heavyweight, the speed is obviously going to help him. But at the same time, it's quite chinny. We've seen that in the sense of he can't take a punch. I'm not saying that you hit him, he gets knocked out. Of course, we've seen him on Bambi legs way before what Tyson Fury done. We've seen Eric Molina have him all over the place. We've seen Artur Szpilka win pretty much every single round. We've seen Gerald Washington win every round up until the knockout comes. But it's not about his boxing ability. It's about him landing that one punch. He ain't going to change too much. In the third Fury fight, he managed to change a little bit, where he'd go a little bit more to the body, throw jabs to the body, but that didn't last very long. So I'm wondering if either A, he's got some issues, maybe he's got IBS, I don't know. I mean, he walks around almost like a twerk in his ass all the time, so maybe he has. But he seems to have a lot of weight, muscle mass dropped. He does. So I wonder if there's something going on with him medically. It's possible. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying there is. I'm not saying there isn't. I wouldn't know. But when he's going to get in there now, people know. You tag him, he's probably going to go. And I'm not saying instant knockout, of course. Listen, heavyweight division, anybody can be knocked out at any given second by anybody, okay? Of course it can happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if his comeback opponent is a Robert Helenius or a Charles Martin, that kind of opponent. I wouldn't expect to see him take on the winner of Ruiz Ortiz, for example, straight away. I would fully expect Wilder to have a bit of a tune-up, and I can't blame him for having a tune-up. Why not? But this muscle mass drop, it could help him, for sure, as I said before, with his speed, but it means that his endurance is going to be a little bit better as well, because I think that, as I started to say before, when he fought Fury the second 2 times by adding bulk, he quite clearly what really took its toll was his stamina. He had no stamina. I mean, if Fury can walk you down, then it's a bit of a problem, isn't it? If you notice when Fury fought Dillian Whyte, he was on the back foot. He was running away for most of the fight until he landed that one big punch. Okay? But against Deontay Wilder, he pressed him forward. Wilder can't fight on the back foot, we know that, and I'm sure that him and Mallet Scott have been working on some of that. So I do expect to see a better Deontay Wilder. But when he's carrying that kind of muscle mass, he's all over the place. Of course, when he gets hit, he's all over the place. His legs were too small, too skinny to carry a large torso. So now maybe he's lost some of that muscle mass. Maybe now his balance might be a little bit better. But could this mean that he's going to enter the Bridgerweight division? Maybe Cruiserweight division. Maybe. If anybody can make the Cruiserweight division up in Heavyweight division currently, like as in the top guys, it's probably a Wilder. It is. He's got that slender frame where he could quite comfortably make Cruiserweight. Certainly Bridgerweight. He can certainly do that, and he'll do well in those divisions. But at the same time, then he's fighting people who are maybe as fast as what he is. Whereas at the heavyweight division, because they're big, strong, heavy-set guys, they're obviously going to be slower than Deontay Wilder, which is why he can land some of the punches. As I said before, not against anybody elite, as we've seen. But ultimately, I'm glad to see him back. I will be glad to see him back. Whoever he fights, I'm sure Showtime or Fox, PBC in general, will put it on pay-per-view, no doubt, no matter who it is that he fights. Okay, because his comeback fight is going to be quite interesting, that's for sure, regardless of who it is that he's going to be against. And if he looks good, then obviously go straight into what many consider maybe an Andy Ruiz Jr. fight. Why not? It's a big money fight for both of them, providing, of course, Andy Ruiz Jr. gets past Luis Ortiz. If he doesn't, if Luis Ortiz manages to defeat Andy Ruiz Jr., does anybody want to see a third fight? No, not really. But again, what route is Wilder going to go down? Is he going to continue down the WBC? We know WBC have him ranked at number 1 for some bizarre reason. When you get knocked out in your last 2 fights, you shouldn't be ranked number 1. I don't care who you are. Okay? But anyway, that's just food for thought for me. Maybe for some of you as well. He does look very, very skinny. Is he going to enter the Bridgerweight division? Obviously, the money is going to be in the heavyweight division, but maybe he could become the face of the Bridgerweight division, get people interested in the Bridgerweight division, and thus earn a lot of money. He could do it. Why not? I'm sure the WBC would back him, no doubt. Anyway, my thoughts. Drop me yours. Click thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll catch you next video.